Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. All right, please continue to pray for me by singing along, gesturing at your screen, and of course, leaving a dislike on this video. Let's get at least a dozen dislikes this time because the God of dislikes has been answering my prayers lately. So let's do it again. Bum, 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum, 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 bum. So I got the job at the other community college, and the nice thing about that is that I don't have any difficulty here at Glendale. The nice thing is that I get to start at the beginning of fall, and so I don't like the summers here in the Phoenix area. I'm hoping to leave the area and travel a little bit. I have a few things in mind. I am. I need to either make or break whatever's going on with the girl in Taiwan because otherwise, it's leaving both of us hanging. So maybe I'll visit her at some point. But I also thought about going to Poland. It's much cooler there, and I tend to vibe a lot better with people there. I've never gotten into serious difficulty with networking with anybody there. Drama, yes, but I've never had difficulty just networking with people. I could shoot a lot of shots there easily, and also the cost of living is a lot less there. Obviously, that will make my vacation money go a lot farther. And also, I hope to make one reconnaissance trip to the palace before I submit that Lego project. Obviously, make sure I got all the details right. Right, I've been just kind of working off of blueprints. Um, but I'm so relieved I got. Well, here's the thing: I'm relieved that I got the job at the other community college, but I really love all of the students here and my colleagues here. So I'm a little bit torn. I don't want to burn the bridge, but I do want to take the summer off. I'm thinking of spinning the situation. That there's some family matters, but you know what? They might hear about the other job anyway, so that's not going to work very well either, right? Family matters. Take a sabbatical. I've learned that family is kind of like the secret word. Nobody's going to question you. Oh my God, I can't show on Thursday because of a family matter. Nobody's going to dig too much about it. And in a way, I also see I suck at lying. If I lie, I tend to feel bad about it. But when I say family matters, I don't feel like I'm lying anymore, because after all, I do get to see family when I go to Taiwan, right? And also when I go to Poland, there's always the potential of meeting future family, right? So it does feel like it does feel like a family event to me. So I don't feel like I'm lying. I could probably pass a polygraph test when I say stuff like that, right? And so that's good. I want you guys to continue praying for good financial health for me, though. Here's the thing. I was thinking about why do I want to leave the Phoenix area? Last summer, I was stuck in Phoenix. It was 110 degrees. I got long COVID. But then when I thought about it more, I'm a big fan of Mary Curry. And I thought about what would Mary Curry do if she were stuck during a heat wave and she had Spanish flu. Her kids were out of the nest by this point. She was widowed. What would she do? And it dawned on me she has a lot of money. She had won two Nobel Prizes. At the time, radium was worth a lot of money. She had a lot of precious metals that she was mining out of the ground in her basement in her spare time, right? And so it dawned on me that yeah, it might not solve all the problems, right? At the time, money certainly didn't cure Spanish flu, but it did hire her a lot of services, right? She didn't have to worry about going out to the store to get food and being harassed by the security guard. She didn't have to worry about cooking her own meals and all that. And not to mention, she had good connection with her daughters, even though they were grown at the time, right? She was still working with one of her daughters on chemistry, and her other daughter wrote a biography about her. So they can't have too bad of chemistry together, right? And so it dawned on me what I need is some financial stability. Now, something happened this morning that also taught me the value of stability. You see, 2 years ago when I first started my art projects, I wasn't eating right because I was spending all my money on art, and I would get anxious anytime. any money situation came up. So this morning on my way to work, I had the misfortune of driving just in front of a cop car. And, I kind of just laughed it off. In the past, that would have been panic because I didn't have money for any bullshit tickets that the cop might give me. I didn't have time to go to traffic court. I needed all my time to make art. And that would have just been sheer panic. One time, actually, it was 10 o'clock at night. I had just lost my job a few months earlier. And I had the misfortune of being in front of a cop car. And I decided to pull into this parking lot and to let the cop pass by. And just as I do that, he follows me into the parking lot to pull me over. And he asked me, what in the world am I doing? And I explained, I was so distressed. I actually told him the truth. I told him, I just lost my job, and I don't like breaking traffic law, but I was anxious about being pulled over. And so he pulled into his car, obviously, to check me out and all that. And I thought for sure I was going to get a ticket. And to my surprise, he didn't give me a ticket. He said he understood, but there's been a lot of robberies, and he was wondering what I was doing pulling into a closed store at 10 at night. And so he wished me good luck in my job search and all that. So that was good. But that's the kind of anxiety that I used to work with daily that I don't have to anymore. And to give you an idea, I struggle with eating disorders. There are people who struggle with money disorders, right, where they either spend too much or don't like to hoard their money. 2 years ago, the two of them kind of were interwoven with each other. It was kind of like a web of eating and money disorder together, right? And I wasn't eating right, and my mom commented that I had lost a lot of weight. And I told her, it's not a good thing. She asked me how I lost the weight. And I told her, it's not a good thing. You don't want to know. And she insisted. And I said, well, I guess if you want to make a lot of gold jewelry and buy a lot of, because I know Bismuth's not going to break her bank. So if you want to make a lot of gold jewelry, buy like 100 ounces of gold every month to pour into jewelry. I'm sure you could lose a lot of weight too. And then she understood. So she was like, take it easy. You don't, if you don't make it big with Bismuth, we could support you and all that. I yes, my parents are capable of supporting me, but I don't like the control that comes with it. So I'd rather be independent of them. Right. So pray for that as well. All right. I can't believe I had I drove in front of a cop car and I wasn't nervous at all. In fact, I was pleased that we still have police that like to show up to their jobs. Right? I don't need to tell you guys how many police officers are striking these days and all that, quiet quitting and all that. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.